Hi, I'm Ashley. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this Cowboys logo. Now, I know the Cowboys are not the best team in the NFL right now, but I think they're still considered America's team, and also those faithful fans don't really care. They're going to sport their Cowboys gear whether we're winning or not. I'm not a huge pro fan, I'm a college fan, and I'm a Nebraska supporter. And we're still holding on to our 90s glory days also, and we're still going to support our team and support our gear no matter what. So let me know who your favorite team is down in the comments below, and maybe in the future I can do a tutorial on one of their logos. We'll see, who knows. So let's go ahead and get into how to actually crochet this logo. So the materials that we're going to need to make our crocheted Dallas Cowboys logo is our yarn, our crochet chart, or I guess the written pattern if you prefer that, and a crochet hook. You can also have scissors and a yarn needle for weaving in the ends if you'd like. So what I'm going to use is weight 4 yarn. I have this almost like denim color, I guess, but it's close to the Cowboys color, and then I just have ivory. You could choose gray or white, whatever you prefer. I just had these on hand. I'm pretty sure this is I Love This yarn from Hobby Lobby. I know for a fact it's medium weight acrylic yarn. So I'm going to use a size H 5mm crochet hook. I want it to be just a little bit kind of a tighter finished product, a tighter fabric. So I'm using a smaller hook. If you wanted it to be looser, you could do a larger hook. If you like it to be even tighter, you can go down a hook. So it'll just depend on how large you want your finished project to be. And we're just gonna crochet the actual motif for this. Now you could use this same pattern for a scarf or a beanie, or maybe a pot holder if you wanted to. We're gonna start with our white color or ivory. I'm just gonna do 2 rows of the white, and then we'll get into the actual star logo. So we start with just a slip knot. And if you're not familiar with some of these terms, you can check out one of my playlists. It's called Crochet Stitches and Crochet Terminology. I have 2 different playlists actually, and it'll very short 30-second, maybe a minute videos for each of these kind of terms, each stitch, and I just go through how to do it. So there are 21 squares across. I'm giving myself just kind of a 1 stitch buffer on the side of the stars. You can add a larger buffer if you want. That'll just change how many you chain. So with this, with 1 white stitch on either side, it's 21, which means my foundation chain will be 22, because you always add 1 to it for when you're doing single crochet. Okay, there's my 22 chains for my foundation chain. And then I'm gonna turn and work in the second chain from my hook, and I will single crochet 21 single crochets. And I like to work in the back like bump of the chain. You can work through kind of the V at the front or the back. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do a video on that soon, talking about how to work into the foundation chain row. But for these purposes, you can kind of work where you'd like to into it, and do 21 single crochets across. Okay. And then that's the first row. I said I'm going to do 2 rows of single crochet in the white before I start my motif. So I'm just going to turn and do another row. When I turn, I don't choose to do a turning chain when I'm doing single crochets. You absolutely can if that's how you prefer. I don't do it because I think I get more even edges if I do not do that turning chain. All right, so now we're actually gonna start on the first row that includes part of the star. So I have that labeled here on my grid as row 1, and you're gonna work from right to left
for this first row. We're working on the right side of our fabric right now, so right to left, and basically you just count the boxes. Each box that is white is our ivory color, each box that is gray or black is going to be our blue color, and I will show you how to add that blue and then carry our yarns along. So I'm going to start with 3 single crochets, and when I get to the third one, I'm going to start it by inserting hook, yarning over, and pulling through, but I'm not going to finish it because that's where I change colors, and this allows you to get the best transition between the 2 colors without having it kind of look like it's between or covering 2 stitches. So we're going to take our yarn and just pull up a loop to complete that single crochet. Now, to continue working, we're just going to do 1 of the blue for this particular row. And again, we're not going to finish that single crochet then. So we're also going to work over these tails. So this is a technique that is called carrying the yarn along. So you kind of pull those 2 extra tails right along the top of your fabric, so that when you insert your hook through the next stitch, you're also going underneath those 2 tails. And then you're capturing your working yarn. And then now that's all I'm going to do with blue, and I'm going to switch. So I'm going to drop that working yarn and go back to the ivory. Okay. And then I'm going to finish my single crochet with the ivory color. And then I'm going to do my stitches in ivory until I get to this next one. So that's 13. And I'm going to keep working over the other color of yarn. And I'm just going to throw this tail in there too so that I don't have to weave it in later, but you don't have to do that. And when you're doing it, you just want to make sure that this blue yarn that you're carrying along, that this loop doesn't get loose like that, right? So you're kind of pulling it down to be at the same tension as all of your other stitches. And then you're going to work over that yarn for these 13 stitches. Okay. And then again, when you get to the 13th, you pull up that first loop and then drop the ivory, pick up the blue, and finish that single crochet. And you see when I did that, this automatically got looser, so I'm just going to take that ivory and pull it down just a little tighter, and I'm going to do my 1 single crochet in blue. So I start it and then I switch again. So these color changing patterns like this are not, it's not hard. You're doing all single crochets, which is one of the most basic stitches that we can do, but you just have to know how to do the color changes and how to carry the yarn along with you. When you do kind of pause and look at it, you will see that yarn that we're carrying along some. And this, you know, with the ivory and the blue, there is a pretty stark contrast between the 2. So you will see it some, but when it's finished and it's the whole star put together, you'll see that it won't, I don't know, I guess some people might not like it, but I find that it doesn't stand out or make it look weird in any way. So then I'm just going to turn and then work the next row. And then when you're working off this grid, when you're working the next row, now you're working left to right. So we're going to do our 3 in ivory, 3 in blue, and then we'll do our white and go back and forth again. So again, you're going to insert the hook. You're carrying that blue yarn along with us and doing 3 on the 3rd. We're switching to the blue, and then doing 3 stitches in blue. And on the third, we switch back to the white. And now we're going to do 9 in white. And then on that 9th, I'm switching to blue, and I'm going to do 3 in blue, and switch back to white on the 3rd, and finish off the row in the white. Now, as you go, because you're constantly dropping one of the yarns and picking up the other one, the yarn, the working yarns end up getting twisted, and so you can kind of just spin them back the opposite way. If you have balls like I have, or skeins, you can kind of do that, or you can spin your fabric. Either way, just periodically you can untangle them, basically, is what I'm saying in the long way. And then now on my next row, so in row number 3, I'm going to be working right to left again. So all of the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, I'm going to work right to left, all of the even numbers left to right. On this particular motif, it doesn't matter that much because it is symmetrical. But on some motifs, it'll be different working, you know, one side will look different than the other. So your counts would be off if you forget which direction you're going. For this one, it doesn't matter as much. Okay, and I'm still just working over that tail and switching to finish the previous single crochet. Now we're here, so we have 1 blue. These are the only ones that are funky because it feels like you're just not doing anything in blue, but I promise it shows up, it turns out. And then we're gonna do 2 whites. So do a full one and then kind of like a half one and switch back to the blue. And then it's just 1 blue again, right? So just yarn over and pull through and switch right back to the white. And now we're here, so we have 2, 4, 6, 7 white. And on the 7th, switch to the blue, do 1 blue, switch back and do 2 whites, and a blue, and finish off that row with 3 whites. Okay. Now we're on row number 4, and we're just going to continue working all the way up the pattern. If you get to this middle point and you're looking at this thinking there's no way this is going to turn out looking good, just bear with it. There's kind of an ugly phase in the middle before the pattern really starts emerging. And if you're too close to it, sometimes it can look funky also. So just bear with it, stick with the process. The finished product will look better than you think it looks right now. So when I get to my last row here of my motif, I can just drop the blue or whatever color you use for the logo, and just do this last row of my white just to border it without carrying along that yarn. And then we can just cut this tail, because essentially we already weaved it in by finishing off that row carrying it along. So I'm just gonna trim that one, and then I can fasten off and weave in this last end with a yarn needle or your crochet hook, if that's how you prefer to weave in your ends. I could have carried this first end along with me at this beginning part, but I didn't, so I will have to weave that one in too. But essentially this is our finished motif. You can see it pretty much looks the same on both sides, just the stitches are kind of leaning one way versus the other. But when you look at it really up close, it might look a little abstract, but as you step away from it or hold it back, which is really how you'd be seeing it if it was on a beanie or a scarf or something, it has that pretty well defined star shape, and it has the classic kind of blue and white star logo for the Cowboys.
So again, here is that completed crocheted Cowboys logo. I think this is a fun way to just add a personal touch to a gift for somebody. You can add this, make pot holders, a blanket, scarves, whatever. Lots of different options that you can use this motif for. If you like the video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I have a bunch of other just informational content about crochet and some more pattern videos as well. Thank you so much for watching.